Hello RC friends, and welcome to this video today, where today I'm going to be telling you how to clean your fuel tanks in your Nitro cars and also your fuel bottles. And as you can see, this one here has got some insane jellying going on inside it, so this needs a ruddy good clean. Now, you may have seen in the previous videos that I've actually recently picked up a couple of Nitro cars, and they're not in the most bestest of conditions, how we say that. Today I was finally able to actually get this one purring and running a little bit, getting around the garden. It was taking a little bit of time to get the idle level set right and also the air fuel mixture, but after quite a bit of tinkering around, we managed to get it going, and that is something which I'm very happy about. But in order to get to that stage where I could even start tuning the motor to get it just running like smoothly, I had to clean out this whole thing. Mainly the fuel tank, which had a load of jellying done to it, and also the tubing here as well. Now, the tubing initially, I just bought fresh new tubing and swapped it out because I was like, you know what, I don't want to faff around with the old stuff, I just want to put new fresh tubing on there, and I'm happy with my decision that I made there. But after I took the old tubing off, I actually cleaned it up, sorted it out, and I'm going to use that tubing on the other one because I thought that a meter's worth of tubing was going to be sufficient. And unfortunately, I cut things too short, and then things just didn't fit right, and then I had to pretty much cut loads of new sections, and finally I pretty much ran out of tubing. So it took me a whole meter's worth of tubing in order to get just this short amount of tubing done, and you know, it's just because I hadn't done it for a while, so I kind of forgot that how much tubing I actually needed. But anyway, this is now kind of currently working, and I'm going to do future videos talking about that in more detail, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on those future videos. For now though, I am going to clean out this little fuel bottle here, because as you can see, the nitro fuel inside is just completely jellied, and that is not a good thing. We need to clean that up. So what I'm going to do in order to clean that up is I'm going to take the spout off here first of all, because we do not need that in there at all, and I'm going to pour out as much of this jellied gooey substance as I possibly can do. Now, you may be wondering what's in this glass bottle already. It's a mixture of acetone and isopropyl alcohol, not for any specific reason apart from I used this earlier to clean the fuel tank out, and I still had it sat there, and I just planned on, you know, putting more gunky stuff inside this glass, so there's no real need to empty that at the minute. But you don't need to start off with a glass of acetone and isopropyl alcohol. You don't have to worry about that. So I have got my bottle of acetone here, and I've got my bottle of isopropyl alcohol here, and first off we're going to start with the acetone. Now, the acetone, we literally just pour a load into the bottle here, just like so. It doesn't really matter exactly how much, but you want to just have like a decent amount in there, and I'll show you exactly how much I have got inside. And there is actually the counter on there. So this is a, you know, just over 500ml bottle, and I've got about 100ml of my acetone in there, and there's a little bit actually outside the edge of it. So I'm just going to quickly clean up the edge of the bottle. I'm not too careful, or I'm not too concerned actually about spills and whatnot on the outside of the edge of the bottle. It's actually quite handy, because when I then come to clean off all of these spills, I can then use those little droplets to then clean the outside of the bottle, because there's a little bit of gunk on the outside of the bottle as well. So now we've got that inside, and the outside of the bottle is pretty much cleaned up. I'm going to put my spout back on, just like, yeah, make sure it's nice and tight, and then we're just going to give it a nice good old shake. And when I shake it, I like to hold on the little end covering nib, because if I'm shaking it and now that end nib bit comes off, I'm going to have acetone and old nitro fuel squirting all over the place in here. And I can tell you, that is definitely not something that I want to have happen. Now, already, I'm going to flip this over upside down now. I'm going to put the tissue there, or the cloth there, just so I can make sure that loads of the acetone goes into the tube too, because we want to clean the entirety of the bottle. And when you're just normally shaking it, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a load of the acetone going into the nib. And actually, if you look there, I can see that when I just flip it upside down there, I'm getting acetone coming out on the edge of the bottle. Now, that is not a good sign for me, and that actually shows me that the gasket isn't working correctly, or this wasn't screwed on properly. So let's re-screw that on there. We'll do it upside down, and then again we'll check to see if we're leaking. If I give that a bit of a squirt, you can see there that we have got acetone coming out. Now, it's not a terrible thing, but it's not ideal. So that means we do need to give some attention to the seal on the bottle, and that's okay. I do have a load of O-rings, and I have got some instant gasket as well, which isn't, I guess, ideal in this situation, because I want it to be a bit more of a, you know, removable, a removable lid. But I'm happy with the acetone nature there. Now, the reason why we use acetone is it is a fantastic cleaner, and that will get rid of all of the nitro fuel that is stuck to the inside of the bottle. It removes all of that jellying and essentially just kind of gives us a nice clean inside the bottle. So with that off there, I can now give that a final little swirl. Doesn't look like there's any kind of like physical debris or anything like that in there, which is a good sign, which hopefully means that the cars themselves didn't get any like dust or rocks in there, because if there was like dirt in here, then that would lead me to assume that they were using a bit of a dirty fuel, or this bottle was dirty, and that then's run through the engine, which is a big no-no. You don't want that. So I'm just going to pour all of this out now into my little glass, just like so. There we go. You can actually see, I don't know if you're able to see that on the camera. Yeah, you can see that. You can see all of the kind of like jellified nitro fuel kind of like sitting around inside there. Now, there was actually quite a lot of jellying going on in this bottle, so I'm just going to give another little bit of acetone in there, just a nice fresh amount of acetone, just so we can give another final little shake, and we'll see if there's any colour in it when it comes out of the bottle. I'm not going to bother putting the lid on because I want it just to be a nice quick shake, so I'm just going to hold the top like that. There we go, just like so. And we can get that poured straight out. And that is nice and clean, actually. That is really, really nice and clean. That's exactly what I want to see. So now that shows me that this bottle is looking pretty darn clean. And if I show that to you there, it is almost pure white all the way around. There is slight discoloration at the bottom here from the nitro fuel. Of course, it does have a little bit of a pinky glow to it. But generally speaking, this bottle is looking really quite good. Now, with that done, it's time to come across to the isopropyl alcohol. The isopropyl alcohol, the reason why I have this is pretty much just to clean up and get rid of all of the acetone that's left inside the bottle. Of course, isopropyl alcohol, it evaporates once it's done. All my batteries are finished charging in the background. So I'm just going to pour some isopropyl alcohol in there. Again, about that much there. Not as much as before with the acetone, probably about half or 3/4 as much. Sorry, I was just charging my batteries from a big truck up there. I do enjoy that. That's the FTX Carnage 2.0, and I must say, I wasn't expecting it to be as much fun as it is, but it's actually lots and lots of fun. So if you're looking for a nice, cheap electric truggy to, you know, just bash around the place, then I can highly recommend that. So we're going to now put the spout back on. Hopefully it's not going to leak that much. We're going to grab the top and do the exact same thing as we did before. Give it a nice big old shake with the isopropyl alcohol. Flip it upside down so it goes all the way into the end of the spout. And just flip it upside down a couple of times. Just like that. There we go. This is like Art Attack, but for nitro cars. It's fantastic. Now we're going to take that nozzle off. This will need to sit out there and dry a little bit, and we can pour the rest of this acetone out as well back into my pint glass. Is it going to be just big enough? It is. Look at that. Perfect. There we go. So that now is pretty much all set and cleaned and ready to go. Of course, there is still some isopropyl alcohol in there. So before I put my nitro fuel straight into the bottle, I do want to let this sit just to evaporate and get all of the remaining bits of isopropyl alcohol out. So first of all, I'll leave this to sit on the side like this and a corner. So if there is any isopropyl alcohol left in there, it will kind of come down and come out into the cloth. And then after it's been there for half an hour or so, I'll then just turn it over, leave the lid off, and then it can sit there where the rest of the isopropyl alcohol inside the bottle will just evaporate. And I'll do the same thing with the spout here as well. I'm going to give the inside of the threads a little bit of a wipe, just like that. And if I look inside, there is no O-ring in there. For some reason, there is literally no O-ring in there at all. So I imagine that's probably fallen out. This was second-hand, by the way. This was part of the kit that came with these two nitro cars that I both got second-hand. So I imagine they probably had this and the O-ring fell out, and then that was probably one of the reasons why, you know, or part of one of the reasons why they didn't want to use it anymore. They wanted to get rid of it because it was leaking fuel everywhere. So the fact that that's missing an O-ring, I can just go into my little box of O-rings I've got down there, put a fresh one in there, and that should fix our leaking problems just, yeah, as easily as that. So yeah, I'm going to take the tip off this. I'm going to quickly dry that end and leave these to the side just so they can evaporate all of the isopropyl alcohol, and then these will be ready to go once I've got the O-ring in there. I'm going to put some nitro fuel in the bottle and be ready to fuel up my cars in future. And yeah, I'm happy with that. I like to have bottles ready and to go with fuel in them just like that on the edge on the side, because when you've got a big old bottle of it or a big old tub somewhere, I've got one up there, you can't really see it, it's on the shelf just up there, when you have to like get that out and then fill up all your bits before you go out, it's just a bit of an extra pain. Like, it's nice just to have a few bottles of fuel sat on the side ready to go so you can grab it, grab your truck, and then your job is a good one. Yeah, and there we go. That's it for today's video. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that has helped you learn how to clean your car fuel tanks. Of course, just do the same thing with your fuel tank, but instead of it being a fuel bottle, it's a fuel tank. But yeah, you can clean your fuel tanks that way. You can put your tubes inside this glass now. This is kind of cocktail looking thing. If you wanted to, you could literally just dip your fuel tubes in there and your air tubes in there, and that's going to clean them up absolutely lovely. So then you can use old tubes if you like, but just check them, make sure they've not degraded or deteriorated before you put them on your car, because that would be a bad thing if they have. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. So thanks again for watching. Don't be arsey.